Heyo, if you didn't read the caption to this video, then basically in this video I'm going to be using all of my blue art supplies to create some artwork, like literally all of them, and there's a lot, like not like really experienced artists a lot, but there is still a lot. I'm just going to show you guys like a quick glimpse of everything I have. Plus I'm going to be using this blue sketchbook to do my initial sketch, which is just coincidental that it's blue because that's what I'm using at the moment. And I'm going to be using this card because I'm running out of mixed media paper and the mediums work okay on card, so yeah, we're going to use that. The first art supplies are these 3 blue oil pastels, 7 chalk pastels, and 2 blue watercolour pans by Winsor & Newton. And then we have, actually I'm going to bring that back in, and then we have this mug filled with blue art supplies like acrylics, blue paintbrushes, fine liners, coloured pencils, you name it, markers, and it's all in this mug that I didn't create the mug by any means, but I did create the logo, which I'm really happy with, so I wanted to show you guys. So there you go, there it is. Okay, so let's get started. So usually when I'm drawing I do more than one initial sketch, but I only did one because I was really happy with how it turned out, and I did not want to make any other ones because I was like, nope, this is the one we're gonna do, this is it. So here it is. I coloured it in with using my blue art supplies, just so well, not my blue art supplies, just my coloured pencils, so that I would have an idea of what it would look like in blue, and I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to get my light box, and I'm going to trace it directly onto the card, so that I don't mess it up. Plus I can't use a normal pencil, it has to be a blue pencil, which doesn't erase properly, so I gotta make sure that it's perfect. So I'm gonna trace this directly onto this with a blue pencil using my light box, and well, then I'm gonna start colouring it with everything. So yeah. Okay, so here I am using my light box. I'm just loosely going over everything, and quickly. It's kind of sloppy, it's nothing too refined because I'm going to refine it better later on. It's just a loose, undetailed version of it, so that I can lay it down properly, know where everything goes, and then fix it later on. So let's get on to that. Okay, so here I am trying to refine the sketch a bit. I'm using some Arteza fine liners to make it more crisp, and I'm using a darker one for the polar bear to make it stand out more. So I'm going to say a bit about the sketch. When I was finishing it off, I was showing it to some of my friends, and one of them said that it reminded them a bit of global warming, and another one agreed with them. So I'm going to speak a bit about that, because global warming is actually a really dangerous thing that's going on, and it's affecting a lot of animals, especially polar bears actually. So I'm going to say a bit about how it's affecting polar bears. So the Arctic is warming about twice as fast as the global average, causing the ice the polar bears depend on to melt away. And loss of sea ice also threatens the bears' main prey, which is seals, and they need the ice to raise their young. And polar bears are among the animals most affected declines in the Arctic sea ice. The bears spend their winters and springs roaming and hunting on the ice, and bears can't outswim their prey, so instead they perch on the ice as a platform and ambush seals at breathing holes or break through the ice to access their dens. Best estimates online now say that there are 20,000 to 30,000 polar bears in 19 different groups or populations scattered across the top of US, Canada, Greenland, Norway and Russia are getting affected by global warming and getting injured and losing lives and things like that. And I looked into whether or not they were going extinct because of this, and the population is actually decreasing quickly because of global warming, which is really dangerous because it means that they are getting extinct. And the name they've got for them right now is vulnerable. So they're a vulnerable animal at the moment. So I think we should all do our part and just keep everything good, nice, keep the planet going, stop using things that are destroying our planet so that we can give these animals their homes and not destroy the world we live in. Okay, so now that I've finished with that, I am going to speak about this piece and what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Hopefully stick to the likes a bit more, but there are a few cons, and honestly, the bad things you do in art, they are the things that make you better, because when you see what you're doing wrong, it helps you know what to work on and know what to do better. So if I maybe look onto it more, I'll know what to improve on. So at the moment I'm doing some light shading and stuff. It's all going good. Honestly, these crystal things, they're not really crystals, they're like ice sprouts things. I'm calling them sprouts, like bursts of ice. I'm calling them crystals because they're looking like crystals right now. But they're not exactly the most glamorous. I wish I did less of them maybe and put them more positioned properly and made them look like actual things and maybe used a reference of ice, but I did not. I used Pixabay for a reference to the polar bear pose because if I drew it by memory, it would have looked like a big fluffy dog. And I wanted it to look at least a little bit like a polar bear so that it's recognizable. While I'm doing this, I started using my Ergo Soft pencils to do some shading, and I used my Arteza fine liners, my Arteza pencils, my Pro markers to do most of the details. And I used my my pastel pack blue Pro marker I think it's called Aqua Blue. I don't have it on me right now. And I used it to add in the surface of the ice, and I did a few areas. And what I did was I used negative space, which could be very helpful. So I used that to make it look a bit white in areas, because I am using one colour. I mean, I'm using various shades of it, don't get me wrong, but using one colour can be very restricting. So using these negative space, it makes it look like more than one colour, makes it more interesting. And a few seconds ago, I was using this metallic Pro marker. You can see it there on the side. And I used it on these ice thingies, these crystals. And I thought, oh, well, I can use the metallic Pro marker here to give it a bit of shine. I probably should have swatched my stuff, because I realised that it just made it look grey and muddy, and I was like, haha, this is great. But, yeah, I hated it, and it just looked awful, and I just wanted to bin it. I was like, nope. And then I was just like, I'm going to push through it, so I carried on going. After I did that, though, I was so close to getting rid of this video and maybe starting again with a completely different idea, but I was like, nope, you gotta post it tomorrow and you gotta make sure you have everything, and you gotta make sure that you push through, because if something's not going your way, there is always a way to fix it. You might not be satisfied at the end, but you learn from your mistakes. So I will not be using that to add shine ever again. At this point, other than these crystal things, I was really liking the drawing. I also wish that I could reposition the crystals, because this one, right next to where the polar bear is, it's kind of distracting, and it's kind of a unnatural position for it to be in, so I didn't really like that. But other than the crystals and stuff, it was all turning out really nice, and I liked it a lot. And I kept shading the under part of the iceberg and the upper bits and stuff like that with my fine liners and my Pro markers. And then in a few seconds something goes badly wrong. Terribly wrong. I had to use all my blue art supplies. If I stopped it here and maybe just took out the metallic one, I'd be like, yes, I love this. And maybe move the crystals, but you know. But no, I had acrylic paint that I had to use. And I had no idea where to use it. And I didn't even think about planning. I just chucked it on there. And this is where everything took a turn. At first I was like, oh, I can add a little bit and shade it. And then the first mark was alright. And then it just got worse. And I was like, why are you still applying it? You could have just left it at that first mark. But nope, I carried on. All the way across the bottom, I carried on applying it, and I was like, why are you still doing it? So yeah, that's there. And I also had another acrylic paint I had to use, so then I had to add on top of that a darker shade, which would be even more noticeable. So at this point, I was like screaming in my head, but I just carried on because I just had to carry on because I was so close. I did manage to make it look less bad in the end. I wasn't extremely satisfied with the artwork itself. I think it could have been far better, by all means, and I wish I could have gotten rid of some of the art supplies and just pretended I didn't have them, but that is cheating. Oh, disclaimer, there is one blue art supply that I own that I didn't use, and that is my oil paints. I didn't use them because I haven't opened them yet, and I'm planning to do this really big painting with them someday when I get a chance, and I didn't want to open them yet in case they dried out by the time I actually do the painting. So yeah, I used most of my blue art supplies. So I'm going in with this watercolor to settle in the acrylics, and this actually kind of worked a bit. I mean, let's think of the benefits of it. It gave contrast. It blended in the acrylics. It looked less sharp and less bold and less horrendous. Cons, it still looked really dark, and it was supposed to be pretty light, like the top. I mean, it was meant to be more shaded, but it was not meant to be this dark. I'm not saying that it's horrific. I mean, it was horrific when I first added the acrylic paint. I mean, it's a bit better now that I've added the watercolor, and I'm not that unhappy with it at the moment. I still think it looks pretty good, and it's not that bad of an artwork. I like it. It's just I'm really pinpointing what I don't like because it stands out so much. So I'm like, I don't like that. Get rid of it. But no, that's the challenge. You have to use them all. So I did, which is sad because some of the mediums should not be put together in the way I did anyway, because I know that these mediums can be worked together to make really cool effects, but I didn't plan this with the actual mediums. I just used my colored pencils and were like, oh, this should be this color, this should be darker, this should be the guys, and it all went out the window anyway. So the only tiny bit of planning I did was pointless because I never used it. So I just carried on grabbing things from the pile and shading and adding in colour, just looking down and going, why? And I went back with the watercolour tons of times. I picked the lighter watercolour and added a bit of colour to the polar bear because the polar bear has to stand out. I think the polar bear is the main focus. The iceberg is its landscape, but the polar bear is the main focus, and it's kind of in the centre, but it's the most bold thing. So it was kind of odd having a flat colour, so I had to add some light watercolour and a bit of this light blue pastel thing. It has a tint of lilac, but it said blue, so I used it. A lot of the pencils, they were ocean blue, and it kind of had a tint of green. It said blue. It's not cheating because it was called something blue, so I was allowed to use it. It just gave me the advantage because it had a tint of green in it. And this other one called Blueberry, it says the word blue in it. but it had a tint of purple, which also gave me the advantage. I swear that fine liner is blue. Like, from some angles it looks really purple, but it is blue, I promise. Everything in this pile is blue. I wish it weren't, but it is. In the background, if you don't know what's going on, I just added a bit of watercolour to the side because I didn't really like the look of it just being in the middle. I mean, it looked alright, but I wanted something a bit in the background. So I added some of this like wash of watercolour on the left side. And we're coming towards the end of the drawing, and I messed the bottom up twice again and fixed it again, kind of, not exactly, but I made it better-ish. So the end result was pretty good. I wasn't that disappointed with it. So yeah, that's the end of that. I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, so I've got all my art supplies here, so I'm going to move them out of the way to show you the final piece. But here's a little glimpse of it. I'll show you it better in a few seconds once everything is moved out of the way and tidied up. Okay, so this is the final piece, the piece de resistance. I'm hoping I said that right. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's not horrendous. It's actually pretty nice. So yeah, there are tons of things that I'd like to change about it, but it's too late now, and maybe I'll do a remake of this in a few months or something where I did it with no restrictions. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Like, comment any video ideas down below, subscribe, and click on my name to watch more of my videos and content.